to the Absolute Arsenal podcast. As always, PJ Davidson with Rob Steinhauser, but not with Christian Escalera. He ditched us to go to Colombia since apparently that's more fun than hanging out with me and Rob.
What up? We are a non-diverse podcast today.
Yeah, we're definitely not very diverse. Yeah, we lost our diversity factor. This is bad. We're gonna drop even further down the podcast charts than we already are.
But if Christian, if you're listening, stay in Colombia, don't come back. And if you get kidnapped there, if the kidnappers are listening, keep him.
Yeah, although he's not really worth much. He's not going to do much for you. His wife is much more valuable than him. Let's be honest.
Kidnap him and make him watch Arteta highlights nonstop for a year, and then you can let us have him back.
I'm on board with that. I can get down with that. So, hey, Christian, hope you're doing well, buddy.
Hey, baby.
All right. So, yeah, we're scoring a lot of goals. That seems to be the theme. Is we're scoring goals and we're emptying stadiums early, and long may it continue. And yeah, I don't know what's gotten into teams thinking, you know what, maybe we shouldn't park the bus against Arsenal. And yeah, they're not figuring it out. So.
Yeah, dude, us and scoring goals was something I did not expect to hear 3 weeks ago, but here we are.
Yeah, I would have much preferred if we had not scored as many now and thrown some on, the West Ham match, the Fulham match, all the other ones where we epically shit the bed. So, but it's okay. Better late than never. And credit to Christian. He's been saying all year long, I want us to hang around and be a second half of season team like City does. So I guess Arteta listens to Christian.
And not us. Hey,
the irony.
He listens to you. Trossard at the 9 again. So
fair. That's fair. Which leads us directly into lineups, completely unchanged, which I think we basically all said. I think I said I wanted Tommy in at left back.
Yeah.
If he was fit, clearly he wasn't even fit enough to be on the bench. So I think we all got what we wanted.
I read something that said Arteta's like, there's just no sense. Like, it's a game we should win. I'm saving him for Porto. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays Porto and starts. But I don't know, dude. Kiwior has been playing really well.
Yeah, he looks good. Like, he really looks like truly comfortable for the first time. And I can't blame him for not being comfortable. Well, okay, sorry. Let me retract. And we'll get into this as we discuss the match, but I think there's been a change in approach from Arteta whenever Kiwior is going to play left back. So, screw it. We can just dive into it now. Ben White inverted a lot.
Yeah.
On Saturday. And so when I rewatched the match, I really made it a point to watch two guys, Ben White and Kai Havertz. And Ben White, just seeing the way that he was taking up those positions, coming inside frequently. If he didn't step in, oftentimes there was there was some interchanging with him and Rice, which was pretty cool. But overall, you can just tell that as soon as Arteta said, you know what, we're going to invert from the right with White, and we're not going to make Kiwior do something he's just not fully comfortable doing in this team. And I'm not going to say we've played the best opposition in the world, but it looks really good. And I thought he did it a lot more against Burnley than he did against West Ham.
Yeah, I didn't rewatch the match, so I was not looking for that. And I also missed the first 30 minutes of the match due to login issues. But yeah,
it was pretty blatant. I'll put it that way. But yeah, in terms of that chunk, we scored early, which changes things big time. And I saw a stat somewhere, Burnley's their stats in the Premier League this season when getting scored on first are it's no wins, one draw, and it was 13 losses.
Damn.
Or something pretty significant like that. Again, when they go down right at the jump. It certainly didn't help for their sake that Vincent Kompany had to serve a 1-match ban. So that's, you're already going up against arguably the hottest team in the league right now in Arsenal, and you don't have your manager on the touchline. That's not great, especially a guy who's, played the biggest of games, been a massive defender for City, and yeah, good for us. No complaints. I'll tell you that much. But I was glad to see ESR back on the bench, so that was cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely, and also like the guy who was, I don't know if he's an assistant or obviously the guy who was filling in for company as manager. Just dude, he looked lost every time they showed him on screen. He was just like what's happening?
I feel like most managers, starter or assistant, I guess you could call it starter versus backup, would look that way, but especially like you get chucked into that against fucking free flowing goal scoring Arsenal, who just put six up against West Ham at London Stadium. So I mean,
I should know this, and I cannot think of his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But our assistant manager, when Arteta was serving bands, like he just seems like he's cool, calm, collected.
AirPod Albert.
Yes, Albert. Yes, he just is so chill on the bench. But yeah,
He's good. Yeah, I mean, well, part of that was Arteta when he came into the job. Like, he certainly brought in some really, really young guys like Carlos Cuesta, but he also brought in some really older, experienced guys who've managed. So yeah, I mean, and there was actually a rumor this past week about Norwich wanting to sign Carlos Cuesta as their manager for next season. And on one hand, that really stinks. I mean, but this dude also started when he was super, super young. His managerial career it seems like he basically never played at any professional level. I didn't look into it. I could be wrong, or maybe he went down really early in his career to injuries or something. I mean, there's a lot of guys where that happens, but I mean, he's younger than a good chunk of the team that's out there. But not that you can't be successful being a very young manager and not having played and all that. I mean, there's plenty of guys who've done it, but it's certainly not it's more the exception than the rule.
Yeah, and then what happened to Albert? I thought at one point we saw something like Ajax was interested in him as the manager, and that just nothing kind of ever really came of that.
Yeah, there've been a couple rumors that seem pretty legit with him. So if at some point they start picking those guys off, I mean, it's a testament to what Arteta's done.
Yeah.
Christian's going to hate every second of listening to this. It's a testament to Arteta and what he's done. But like you look in like pro sports all across, like whether it's Pep and Mourinho in football, and if it's the Bill Belichick coaching tree in football, like if you're a good manager, your assistants are going to you're going to lose them. They're going to get head coaching jobs. But something that I thought was really interesting when you talk about that happening. So Sir Alex Ferguson at United, to my understanding, he made it a point of every few years essentially rotating his assistants. So that way he was always getting a new perspective and, basically just staying up and ahead of the curve as opposed to the same old, which, you had like Arsene Wenger with Pat Rice forever. I mean, that was just the way that it went. For the most part, until he stepped down, he was loyal to Steve Bold and everything else. So, yeah, if it happens, it's a bummer, but it's just part of having a really good manager.
We would just got to go out winning the double, then, let them go out on top.
It's the only way to do it. But, so yeah, as I said, we scored super early. Martinelli cut back from the left wing to Odegaard, who just 1-2 bang. Automatic goal. It's one that when Odegaard arrived, you would expect him to try and pass, but now it's like he's going to shoot. And that one, I mean, as soon as he collected it and he had the time to take an extra touch, it was like, yeah, he's automatically scoring that.
And hit it so sweetly.
Yeah, so bang, 1-0. Martinelli assist.
They didn't count it as a Martinelli assist, though. He didn't get credit for it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've been seeing that all over Twitter. Like,
how?
I don't know. He just never got credited for that assist.
If Kiwior gets credit for Havertz's assist on the 5th goal, how in the world could Martinelli not get credit for that assist?
I have no idea. I don't know if when he swung it in, if it like barely got deflected or what happened, but yeah, I saw that he apparently in the last like 3 games he doesn't have a goal or an assist. So everybody's eating and feeding, and he's not.
That's so interesting because like I mean with the way that he was so not himself the first half of the season, I mean, now he's coming back in with goals and assists and everything else. I mean, count it or not, I'm just glad to see him involved.
Yeah.
It's something that we need, and because case in point, I mean, because if someone goes in and if they get a game and you're on the bench and they take their chance, you're not coming back in. You look at what Trossard's doing right now. You look at what Havertz is doing right now. It doesn't matter who's healthy. No one's taking those guys out of the team. I mean, perhaps because we have to rotate with Europe back in play now. I mean, that's a different story. But the way it's been going, where it's just Premier League once a week, it's you got to be at the top of your game at Arsenal Football Club right now, which is good. It's what it should be.
And two big games this week, Porto away and Newcastle home. Like, we'd need 3 points in each. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Arteta does and how he changes the lineup. Obviously, there's a chance Partey is back. Maybe he makes the bench. Obviously, Tomiyasu's back. Smith Rowe's healthy. Jesus should be back. So Arteta's got to sit down at the drawing board and figure out, okay, who do I want for Porto? Who do I want for Newcastle?
Yeah. And the scary thing is, like, momentum shifts in football so quickly. I mean, if we lose against Porto and then, we drop points against Newcastle or something like that, like, we're going from top of the world. We just scored 11 goals in 2 games, have won 5 on the run, and we lose those 2 and everything's melting down.
Yeah.
It's just how football goes and how football fandom goes, whether it's deserving or not. It's just the way it is. But we don't think that way. We think positively. So, additional thing on Odegaard. So with that goal, I saw this floating around. That goal brought him to 32 total goal involvements, 20 goals and 12 assists. I think since the start of last season, there are only 6 players in the Premier League to have more than those 32 goal involvements, of which he is the highest midfielder on that list. So the 6 above him must all be strikers, wingers, something like that. And he made it 33 later on in the game with another assist. So flowers to Martin Odegaard. I think he's, I don't like to sit here and say I told you so, but I think you would agree I've been pretty loyal on Odegaard and said that when he has bad runs of form, it's because he has a niggle. And as soon as he has any sort of a niggling injury, he's like half of what he was. But the second he's back, he's this, and this is what we're getting.
I mean, especially for me, there are times when I would very much Christian's the guy that says Odegaard doesn't show up during big games. I think he's absolutely above and beyond proved that wrong this season. And then still for me, it's like, he has those moments where, is he playing? But this year he's been so good. And I think it's because it seems like he's almost dropped a little bit deeper in that role. And I think obviously having Declan Rice behind you, like he just probably feels like he has more freedom to drop back and let Rice take up space ahead of him and so on and so forth. But another interesting stat, since you brought up the Odegaard stat, that I wanted to bring up, and I think maybe we've talked about this, through the first 210 games of their career, Bukayo Saka has more goal assists than Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah,
will that keep up? Probably not. But one that I saw today.
Why not?
In Gareth Bale's Premier League career, Bukayo Saka in less games has more goal and assists than the great legend Gareth Bale. And Saka still just gets so much mistreatment. Like, I'm sick of hearing the Saka-Foden debate. Saka's clear.
There is no debate. I'm sorry. Plus, he's freaking 22. Like,
he's the first. Arguably, Saka's the first player on the England team sheet. Like, Rice, Kane, maybe, but Bellingham. Or Bellingham. But who's been the England's player of the year the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
He's right there with them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He's undoubtedly right there.
But two crazy stats, though. I think also, too, he's eclipsed his best ever goals and assists in a season already this season. Then I think he's at 26 now or something like that, 25, 26, somewhere in that region. And all of last year he had around there. So he's still got however many games left to go. So he's going to go over 30 for sure.
Yeah. He's at as of the end of the match, he's at 12 goals this season in the Prem. His highest ever total is 14. So he only needs 2 more to equal and 3 to go past that. So Um, I mean, we can go through the game, moment by moment and everything. I don't think there's much of a point. It was just utter domination from us. There was very little, you know, uh, sign of any life from Burnley at any point, especially the way we just emphatically went up so early. Um, we get the penalty, right around the 40th minute with Trossard, also from Havertz. We'll certainly talk about Havertz at the end here. But I saw a few people being like, "Oh, there's minimal contact." It's like, dude, just watch it. It's very stonewall penalty, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't think there's any debate that the action forced a pretty obvious penalty. I also think that Saka's getting a little too much crap for the quality of the penalty, because Trafford did guess the right way and he didn't get it. Like, I'm not saying it was an emphatic, like, no-brainer penalty, but the whole thing is, like, you're always taught when you take a pen, low and hard, because it's way easier for a keeper who's, already up, 6 feet in the air plus, to go up. So you go low into the corner. And he put it right where you would want to put it, as a corner. So, yeah, he went the right way and still didn't save it. There's a reason for that. So I think, again, like, maybe he just gets – people want to hate on him for whatever reason. I thought it was a very good penalty and clearly converted. So 2-0 going into half, could have been more, but still solid.
And if that PK gets saved, it's not saved because it was a bad PK. It was saved because it was a great save.
Yeah,
so, and
100%.
that's what if my guy's going to miss a penalty, I want the goalkeeper to make a crazy great save. But no, 2-0 halftime.
Yeah,
obviously we're feeling good, but we want more.
I will say, I really like their keeper. Even though he got 5 goals put past him, I think he's going to be a good keeper for a very long time. I mean, he's insanely young. I mentioned on last week's episode, he got bought basically from City's straight from the academy for 20 mil. Like, that's wild.
It's crazy.
But I don't think he's done anything to make that look like a bad use of money. I mean, it's not like I'm watching Burnley week in, week out, but whenever I watch him, he looks very good to me. So,
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we bought David Raya. It's like he's plays for Brentford, and Brentford, like, he's given up a shitload of goals, but I mean, he does what he does well. Like, if you put Allison right now at Sheffield United, like, Allison's going to let up a shitload of goals.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, let's touch on Raya while we're there. I mean, his last 2 games have shut down the Ramsdale debate, in my opinion. Like, he is looking so much more comfortable. The fact that nobody's talking about the Raya Ramsdale debate seems to be helping.
Yeah.
From, afar, where we look on as fans, it just seems like there's not that same pressure of the debate, and he can just kind of focus on the football. And he has just been so good. I mean, he's not the biggest guy. Like, he's not a Spina. He's not a, little, it's not a little midget like fucking a Spina. But he's not big. But he is claiming crosses like he's big.
Yeah.
And it is really, really impressive. Seeing what he's been doing and just the quickness of distribution. And I still love Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale could easily be our keeper for the next 10 years. But, there's just little things where if Arteta can improve us, he's going to improve us. And I think it's been justified much more. And I think the Havertz thing is starting to get justified more and more. Because I thought he was absolutely unbelievable, especially, again, sitting down and really rewatching the match and watching him. Everything he does, you can see why Arteta loves him. The movement off the ball, the runs, the positioning, pulling players, flicks, bodying dudes. Like, he's just missing that extra bit on the ball, which I get. Like, that's where most fans are going to notice you, when you're on the ball or when you're involved with the ball. Like, it's immediate. But I think true coaches, scouts, things like that, see those other things that, you and I may not see in real time. Like, it takes me watching the game back to notice it more.
Yeah. I was just going to say that, like, all week, they're watching tape, they're watching footage. And like Arteta's dedicating time specifically to watch player A, player B, player C. And when he watches Havertz, just like you did when you rewatch the game, you're like, wow, this guy is doing everything I want him to do. Whereas like somebody like me, I watch the match once and I'm trying to take all of it in at once. I'm not watching what Havertz is doing off the ball. I'm watching where the ball's at. So we're missing a lot of those small little things that he does. That
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Pep talks about it a lot when like players come in and they're like, he's like, if a player's like, I need freedom, I'm like a 10, I need freedom to do what I need to do. And you look at like a Jack Grealish when he came in, like he's like, no, dude, like you're part of a team. The other 10 people need you to play your job,
Yeah.
your role. Your role isn't to roam and do whatever the hell you want, because that's making the other 10 guys' jobs significantly harder. And I think that is where Havertz is the perfect example of it, in terms of his job unlocks everybody else. When you talk about Odegaard has Rice, I think there's an element of Odegaard has Havertz
Yeah.
pulling players away. And, he's not on the ball the same way that Ajaka was all the time. Do I think Havertz could be? Sure. Has he shown any confidence on the ball in a match this year? No, not even a little bit. I mean, he did have the nice running goal, which we'll get to, but I'm still not confident with him on the ball at all. I never at any point think when he takes the ball he's going to play some pinpoint pass or rocket a shot. And that's not to say there isn't a debate of, is the value of the dirty work that Havertz does enough? Maybe some games it is, maybe some games it isn't. I don't know.
I think he's going to have his moment, and I think it's going to be a big moment in a big game, whether it's to win the league or win the CL. And
He's done it before.
And if that happens, then the investment is 1,000% worth it. But also, he doesn't have to repay the whole investment in the first year. If he plays decent this year, does what he's doing now, and then comes back in next year, and he's even further along in our system, and he's a year more comfortable in the system. I think he's only going to be a player who gets better for us. He's not going to get worse. He's just going to get better, and he's in a position that's not super glorious. When we got Havertz, we expect, he's a striker. He's going to score. We want him to score 15 goals. He's not in a position to do that. But he's in a position to make those runs, to drag those players, which in the last 3 games, we've scored how many goals?
A
shitload.
14.
Yeah.
3, 6, 5.
And he had some part to play in every single goal that we had on Saturday.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, I also think there's an element of, for a guy like Havertz, like it's almost like a pledge and a frat. Like you have to break them down and build them back up. Like he was at Chelsea. We've got to undo so much of the crap that he went on there and build him back up from to the from the stuff he was doing at Leverkusen and advance him. So yeah, I think you're bang on in terms of he's going to need time, and Arteta seems like the right guy to get him there. I mean, if he can save Granit Xhaka's career, I think he can save anybody's career. But second half starts also right away, Saka goal. I mean, the funny thing was, like, you could just see that like their left back clearly had like very, very intensive instructions. You shepherd him to his right. You do not let him go on his left under any circumstances. Credit to him, he did a good job at that. Only issue is Saka said, yeah, fuck it, and just banged it. So I'm sure you saw this doing the runs on social, and it's been said before, but when Arsene Wenger finally made his return to Arsenal, Saka, immediately went up to him and said, what can I do to improve my game? And he said, get better with your right foot.
Yeah.
Think he listened.
Yeah, that drag back across his body and just one touch and just rocketed it. Whew.
Near post on him too.
Yeah.
As I'm praising this keeper, and he gets beat at his near post. So
the keeper, same way keeper probably thought, he's going to come left and try to curl one, or he's going to pass. But yeah, it's just that was so smooth and so quick in real time. Boom.
Yeah.
3-0.
He's so much fun, man.
And then we're thinking, God, are we going to get 6 again? We want 6 again. Let's get 6.
So that was pretty awesome. But and then for the next like 15 minutes, it seemed like it was like the How many amazing chances can we feed Leandro Trossard on a platter and watch him miss them?
Yeah.
It was, I mean, again, if there was ever a time where it's like, it's all good, it's when we're 3-0 up. If it was 0-0 or a tight game, okay, we'd be probably sweating a bit. But he missed like 3 good chances that he should have put at least 2 of those away. But eventually he got one. So glad that Leo got on the board. And I think it's fair to say that the Leo Havertz dynamic is absolutely working.
Yeah, dude, Arteta's got a tough decision to make. Because Jesus does do so much, but this shit's not broken right now. I would just keep going, guys. Keep going.
Here's the other thing. And if Jesus is healthy and Arteta was like, I'm just not going to bother playing you against Burnley because we shouldn't need you, if that is the case, where does Jesus get all his goal production from? Europe.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. We get the lineups we'll talk about, but I would start Jesus against Porto and start Trossard against Newcastle.
Yep, I would too. But, I mean, in terms of the game, I mean, again, subs came on. There's not a whole lot to say about any of them. I actually thought Cedric did pretty well. I thought of all the subs who came on, he looked the best. It's terrifying to say that, but he looked like competent.
Yeah.
I mean, you were still waiting for him to just every time, he's just gonna every single time he gets the ball out on that wing, he's just whipping across. Although there was one time he faked the cross and passed it, and I couldn't believe my eyes because Cedric's two favorite things in the world are trying to get into the back of any and every photo and goal celebration, and then crossing the ball to absolutely nobody. So I was proud of him. He did get in the celebration photos, though. There was,
of course,
he
did.
Not when, yeah. So Jakub Kiwior racking up the assists here with the throw in, and then Havertz does. Was it 2 guys, 3 guys, whatever it was? Nutmegs the dude, finishes on the goalie. I'm really, really, really glad. Like that was so important to see him score.
I once he got through and he's getting ready to shoot. I just knew it was gonna get saved. Like I knew it. I'm like, this poor guy, and then he slotted it home. And
it wasn't the best finish. I'm
not
gonna say it was.
But I'm at home by myself. It's early in the morning. I don't know. It's probably like the game started at 7:30, so it's probably getting close to 9. I audibly let out a scream when he scored that goal.
Woke up all of LA.
Yeah, so that was good. I was happy about that. We just need him to just little pushes here and there, get that confidence up, because for this run in, man, we're going to need him. Especially when we play teams like Spurs and teams like City who are going to press us, to use him to bang balls over the top to break the press.
Yeah, he was immense. He wasn't my player of the match, but he was damn close. So, yeah, game ends 5-0. Our goal difference was great.
So good.
Chelsea did us some favors later in the day.
Yeah.
Should have won, but of course, I feel like Rodri's always saving them on a late goal. I feel like he's the guy that keeps doing it. So
also, if you're Chelsea and you're up, and the dude Pochettino just is no spine. Parking the bus at 60 minutes. You're not going to park the bus for City for 30 minutes and hold them. Just played like absolute cowards that second half, and it's just so frustrating to watch. And they had multiple chances to score. Chances to score, which you watch that game back, I don't think City's as good as they have been. I don't.
Don't even put that in the atmosphere.
I mean, they're going to beat us 2-0. The 2-0 curse. They're going to beat us 2-0, which means we're going to win 5-0. But anyway,
I don't even want.
I digress.
Yeah,
goal differential is huge because I thought when I was kind of doing the projections in my head, I thought City would win that game and there'd be a 3-point gap, and I just figured at the end of the season we would end level on points with City and it would come at a goal differential. But now that
right now we're highest in the league at 36, Liverpool right behind us at 35, and City at 31.
I'm still waiting for the Liverpool ball to drop. I still think the way they play is just it's crazy that nobody can score on them with as open as they are.
They picked up some injuries again at the
Jota's
weekend.
out, yeah.
So yeah, that didn't look good. Whatever it was, it clearly wasn't good. Didn't Jones go off too?
I remember seeing a clip of him walking back on the sideline, and I think that's when Nunez scored. So he must have gotten injured, but I'm not 100% sure. I did not watch the game.
Filthy goal from Nunez, by the way.
The dude either scores world-class goals or he blows it 50 yards over the post. I don't understand him at all.
Nope.
Do
not
not
even a little, but it's interesting and it's entertaining. Notes from the Arsenal match. Let's see. I didn't really have anything of note. I was a little disappointed to see Reece not really do a whole lot when he came on. ESR barely got any minutes. I mean, he was on in the 84th, 85th, so there wasn't much time for him to do anything. Jorginho's fine. He's Jorginho. The interesting one for me, I don't know that we've directly talked about it, but what has happened with Eddie Nketiah?
Dude, he just hasn't. I mean, he's not a bad player. His goals per 90 is actually really good. If he gets 90 minutes, he usually does score. The issue is like the emergence of Trossard has just Eddie's fallen even further down. Because if let's say Trossard doesn't play well those last couple of games, or he has not been playing well, then we would be seeing Eddie playing at the 9. And who knows, maybe Eddie's bags goals here and there. Eddie just can't pass the ball like Trossard can. Can't come down and collect the ball and pass it like Trossard can. So, I mean, Eddie will be good for some garbage time minutes. Maybe he'll score a goal or two there. Maybe we'll find ourselves in a position where we need to score when we bring him on. Who knows? But that's just when he gets his chances, he doesn't play well, and Trossard has been playing well. So,
it always seemed to me that regardless of his actual performance, that Arteta was always going to continue to give him opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, for 3+ years now, he always gives Eddie opportunities, even though I don't think he has done all that much to deserve them with his play, with his demeanor, with everything else. I mean, again, like they train a lot more than they actually play matches. So that's where Arteta is going to make most of his judgments, I'm sure. But still, like, he's not even getting a look. I mean, at striker right now, it's been Havertz and it's been Trossard. Eddie has like fallen completely out of it. And when he comes on, I mean, you'll always hear me complain about his work ethic when he comes on. I mean, he had Martin Odegaard, who's always our highest presser every match, sprinting at the ball nonstop. He's out sprinting Eddie in the 92nd minute. It's like, what? How is that a thing? Like, I think Eddie Nketiah will be a great striker for Crystal Palace. I think he'll do well, have a good career. That's nothing to be negative about, because that's a really legit thing to have a good 10-year career for clubs of that caliber. That's great. But I don't know why we haven't cashed in yet.
Well, maybe this summer.
It better be. I mean, yeah. So not much on Eddie, but should we just jump into player ratings?
Yeah.
Cool. So I was pretty boring. I mean, the back line, including Raya, I only gave Raya 7 just because he really didn't have all that much to do. But I gave the rest of the back line 8s across the board.
I would probably agree with the Raya rating 7. I would give the rest of the back line 8s, but I'm going to give Kiwior an 8.5 just because, I mean, I think he's overperforming a standard Kiwior performance, so I'll give him an 8.5.
That's fair. Yeah. And goal and assist is always a good reason to bump him up, like a half. So he did get an assist. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Midfield. I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna give Havertz an 8.5. I think he had a better. I mean, if I don't know, it's hard with him because has he had if a standard Havertz game is like an 8, or was it an 8 or a 7, or is it a 6? Sorry, I'm really butchering this.
6 is okay. Like you were totally fine.
Okay, 6 is totally fine. I'm going to give Havertz an 8. I mean, it's hard to not give Declan Rice at least an 8 every match, so I'm going to give him an 8.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give Mr. Odegaard 8.5.
Nice. Yeah, I gave Rice an 8 just because I don't know that he'll ever not be an 8. If anything, he's just going to be higher. It's pretty rare that he would do anything to drop. I gave Havertz an 8.5. I also gave Odegaard an 8.5, and I gave Odegaard my man of the match.
I was close between Odegaard and Saka, but my man of the match was Saka.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, my front line. I mean, Martinelli, not even a standard Martinelli game. I'm going to give Martinelli like a 5, just because I do think he's underperforming. It's Burnley. Like, I don't think he looked as dangerous as he could normally look. Like when he tore up Alexander-Arnold, like he's not doing that. Trossard an 8, and Saka, I'm going to give Saka a 9.
Nice. Yeah, I was Saka 8.5, Martinelli 7, Trossard 8.
So you would say that Martinelli played an above average Martinelli game?
I mean, so when I say a 6 is like they were fine, like more than anything. So I thought Martinelli was I mean, he contributed as part of a 5-goal attack and had an assist, whether it was counted or not, and was constantly dangerous. I don't think he did anything poorly. I don't think he did anything badly in possession, tracking back, going forward. So, I gave him a 7. I find it hard to give him anything badly when you don't let any. I think their XG was basically 0, and we score 5 goals.
Yeah,
so.
Defensively, obviously that's like one of the reasons why he's going to be. He just can't go out there and just like get another left winger who's like. I remember all the talks of Mudryk and thinking that Mudryk was going to come in and bench Martinelli, but Martinelli does so much work defensively, especially if Zinchenko's in. The same thing with Saka. Like, it's hard to beat the amount of output that our wingers have, especially if you look at a guy like Marcus Rashford. Phenomenal score. That clip of him.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God, man.
With Ross Barkley walking around.
Oh my God. I would be furious if that guy was like looked at as the best player on my team.
I'd want him out. If my striker ever did that, I would want him out of the club so fast.
Yeah. So,
and Eddie Nketiah would do that, and that's why I've said we need to get rid of Eddie Nketiah. And it's going to take a lot to change my mind on that. But the way that Granit Xhaka, all of our perceptions of him changed, who knows? Maybe Eddie comes in and changes my mind. I hope he does. I would love nothing more than for that to happen. I'm rooting for the guy. I just don't think it's going to happen. Last rating, Mikel Arteta.
I'll give him a 9. I really it's Burnley. He didn't change anything. It's not broken. So I think the fact that he smartly did not risk Tomiyasu, he smartly did not risk Jesus, and he slowly eased ESR back into it. Like, he could have just as easily like made a change at left back somehow. I don't know if Tomiyasu is fit, but I'll give him a 9.
Yeah, I gave him a 9.5. Just I feel like I had one reason to knock something off of him. I honestly can't remember. It's just it was almost too easy. Like, it's hard for me to give him a 10 on it. But yeah, I mean, he did everything right. He got all of our big players off for the most part, and he seems to be making the earlier subs, which is really nice to see. But yeah, pretty quick, pretty easy. That's why this pod is going to be pretty quick and easy.
This week,
so dominating.
This week for me is I really want to see what Arteta does with these 2 big games.
So let's transition to that, because I don't think there's a whole lot more we can possibly say.
We whooped Burnley's ass. That ass is beat. Like, there's not much else to say. Yeah. Wednesday lineup. I've never really watched Porto play. I don't know how they play, but I've heard like they're not a team that's going to park the bus. Like, they're going to play their football, and obviously it's there. I've been to a game in Lisbon, and it was nuts, and I'm very curious to see what a game in Porto's even more nuts. So I'm very curious to see how we go in with, we have to be disciplined. We have to be smart. We have to execute. I'm kind of torn between my lineup for this game and my lineup by between this game and Newcastle, and I'll get into it once we get to what we think our lineups will be. But I want to hear your take on it first.
I mean, honestly, it's so difficult for me to say because we don't know who's fit.
Let's say Tomiyasu's fit. Let's say Jesus is fit and ESR's fit. Party, there's a small chance Party makes the bench, but I don't think there's no way in hell he starts.
No, he wouldn't start.
I
mean,
Zinchenko, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I'm figuring Raya's starting. I'm figuring Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel are all starting. I figure that left back will be Tomiyasu if he's fit. If he's not fit and Zinchenko's fit, it'll be Zinchenko. And if they're not, then it'll be Kiwior.
Okay. I think the back line stays I don't know. I think the back line it'll stay the same or Tomiyasu might get like 60 minutes or Kyo. I don't think Zinchenko's going to play. I just haven't heard anything about him. But if Kiwior starts and plays and we invert Ben White, I'm good with that. But also
I'm good with it too. I just think that the hierarchy is that order.
Yeah. Midfield is where I'm not sure. Do we go Rice and Jorginho for our first knockout stage? Like, hey, we need people who've been there, who've done it. Does Jorginho play? Or I'm torn between I want Jorginho on the field versus Newcastle because I want Bruno to go after him and get red carded this time.
I think it's going to be Rice, Jorginho, Odegaard.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I could see Jorginho starting because it's a high-stakes game, big European away match. I mean, when's the last time we were in the knockouts in European football?
That's one where I think Arteta will lean on a veteran who's won the Champions League and go that route. And that's not a knock because Havertz has won it too. Don't get me wrong. And it wouldn't surprise me if Havertz was there either. I just think based on the Liverpool decision, it's going to be Jorginho.
And then another big one. Who's your front three? Saka's a lock.
I think Saka and Martinelli are both locks.
And then I could even see maybe giving Martinelli a bit of a rest and doing Jesus, Trossard, Saka front three if I'm going to get really weird with it.
I don't like Trossard on the wing.
I was thinking Jesus on the left wing.
Really?
Jesus left wing, Trossard 9, and they kind of interchange with each other.
That'd be interesting. I'd be surprised if Arteta broke out something so new.
That's just me being weird with it. The lineup could be totally unchanged. Because then I don't know what to do with the Newcastle game. Because these are both must-win games.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. If Jesus isn't fit, that's a really tough call between.
Because then realistically, if we go to Porto and get a draw, that's not a bad result at all, knowing the second leg is at home. But we absolutely 1,000% have to beat Newcastle at home. The league is probably we're not going to win the league if we don't do that. We have to do that.
No, you're right. I'm just thinking on the Porto game. I think it'll be Jorginho in midfield, and Jesus up top. But if Jesus isn't fit, I don't know that he would play Trossard up top without Havertz at the left 8.
So you think maybe Eddie gets a rare start?
No, I think it would be Havertz up top.
Also, I did see today that some guy for Porto is injured for the game Wednesday. Tarami or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I don't know if he's good, but I saw that was something.
It seemed significant. Yeah, I'm not going to lie and say it means anything to me.
Yeah. But, the fact that it's reported on maybe means it's significant.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's my general thought. But
who knows? This is where Arteta's got to I can't wait to give his match rating for these next 2 games to see what he does.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wish I could say more. It's just so many of these lineup decisions are dependent on fitness, and we just don't know. And even if we thought we knew, we both know Mikel Arteta doesn't say a freaking word to anybody about
Dude,
it.
it's a
So
good problem to have though. Like we have
no,
enough
I'd
good
prefer it that way.
players, yeah, that who knows who's gonna start. But I mean, I will
Yeah,
say like Jesus has been really fucking good in the Champions League this year. So
no doubt. So I guess we'll go with parting thoughts at this point.
I the Newcastle game scares me because they've been shit all year, but we have a target on our back, and like when we played them the first time, they were really good. They haven't played anywhere near that level since then. Now, coming to the Emirates, they're missing key players. We should win, but a little worried.
So I'm going to reply to that along with parting thought, but I'm not worried about Newcastle. I think it's a revenge game after all the crap from the last one. And I think we're going to come out with the Emirates behind us and just absolutely blow them away, is what I'm anticipating and hoping for, to say the least. My parting thought will be with a random interview with Ben White. It was freaking awesome, where he was asked about like can you roast Kai Havertz in some way for us? And he goes, well, number one, he lives 2 doors down from me, so I and he's got three dogs, and 2 of them are really big, so I'm not going to do that. But Ben White was just like, I genuinely can't roast him because he's just such a great guy. And I think it's really cool to see the whole team rooting for this guy because they know how good he is on the pitch, but also just like genuine good people off the pitch. And you hear about like all these rumors in, where's an Mbappe going to go? And he'd be open to an Arsenal move and everything like that. And I think there's a thread also about Guendouzi and his exit doing the rounds on Twitter today. And I think that the work that Arteta has done to restore the dressing room to just high quality individuals. And if you're not a high quality individual, I don't care how good you are.
Yeah, love that.
At football. And I think that speaks volumes as to, what we're doing and how the guys are so, unified doing it. So up Mikel Arteta, and I hope Christian enjoys having to listen to that.
One parting thought though.
Okay, go for it.
You are not wearing your Highbury kit right now.
I'm not. I put my daughter to sleep and I realized it was in there, and I'm not waking up my 19-month-old who's just getting over ear infection and in a fever to get it. We are also recording this on Monday night, basically 2 full days after the match, so that's on us.
Yeah.
But yep, no, I will be the first to say that I'm not wearing it. I screwed up, but Arsenal is in my heart, and I'm wearing that.
Christian, we would love to say we missed you, but we didn't miss you.
Nah, not really.
Arteta in, baby.
You don't even need to come back.
Arteta in forever, Christian.
Thanks for listening. Arteta in.